Good afternoon, Rotary family. A gentle reminder that we're starting 5 minutes early today. I'd like to officially welcome you to the 5,404th meeting of our wonderful club. Nice to see you all today. Nicholas Adams is going to come join me to to lead us in song. Nicholas?
Thank you, Madam President. Would you please all stand and join me in God Bless America? And that includes everyone in the buffet line. I want to hear everybody. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. I think they were in good voice today, Madam President. What do you think? Very good. Okay.
That was beautiful. Thank you for that. And a very special all right, guys, we're getting started. A very special thank you to the iHouse Committee for being in the greeting line. That committee is chaired by Mike Fulton. And now I'd like to celebrate the birthdays we have. Joining us in the room today, we have past President Jerry Silva. Happy birthday, Jerry. Where are you? Yay, we're so glad you're here. I'd also like to wish Rick Alpers, the chair of our executive chef committees, a happy birthday. And Jeff Poley, too, if you're here. Jeff, my thoughts are with you with your father-in-law, and send your wife my best wishes. We're so glad you're back. Thank you for joining us today. And now we'll move into guest introductions. We have Red Badgers with traveling mics. We have a little bit of a change. We have David Hott, and stepping in for Ann Webb today is Bunny Layden. Bunny, if you could briefly introduce yourself.
I'm Bunny Layden, and my sponsors are Dick Conniff and James Williams at Technology Sector.
Thank you. And David?
Hi, I'm David Hott, recently Red Badger, and happy to be here today. Welcome.
And we're happy to have you. If you have a guest or you're a visiting Rotarian, please stand up to be introduced. I can't see who has the mic. There you go, Pam Foley.
Good afternoon, President Karen. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm really proud to introduce to you Kyle Lavaroni, my Deputy Chief of Staff.
Welcome.
Good afternoon. I'm Chuck Cantrell, and I'd like to introduce to you my two guests today. Deb Kramer from Keep Coyote Creek Beautiful. She's the executive director there. And Chris Nakamura, who is my development manager at the San Jose Conservation Corps.
Welcome. And start thinking about joining Rotary.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Belansky-Fair, and I am proud to bring my daughter, Chloe Fair. She's a recent graduate from Loyola Marymount with theater arts.
Well, congratulations. An income-producing activity is in your future. You'll be off your mom's payroll.
Good afternoon, President Karen. Over here on this side, on your right side, there you are.
Matt.
Good afternoon, everyone. Matt Bell with Pivotal. I'm really pleased to have once again here my Chief Development Officer, Chelsea Souza. Thank you. Who is she again? Yeah.
And good afternoon, President Karen, right here. Yeah, here we are. It's all these tall people in the front. That's blocking your view, I know. So Steve Prouty, and my guest today is Gordon Smith. Gordon thought at one point he might have been the oldest person in the room who had been born in San Jose. We've already found out that that is not the case. But Gordon arose here in San Jose and now lives in Moses Lake, Washington.
Well, Gordon, you're among friends. Welcome.
President Karen, it's James Williams with Opera San Jose. I'm pleased to introduce my husband, Lance Shoemaker. He's the head of the business and real estate departments at West Valley College, and if he didn't teach a class on Wednesdays at lunch, we would get him into Rotary. So.
Excellent. Welcome. Mike.
President Karen, Mike Fulton, Chair of the iHouse Committee. I'm here with Matthew McCormick. He's the interim director of the iHouse, but this is his farewell lunch. He's off to Washington, D.C. to get into politics.
Good luck. That's wonderful. Yvonne.
President Karen, Yvonne Montes de Oca. It's my honor to introduce the family of our beloved Rochelle McNamara, Shelley, her daughter Karen McNamara Rust, and her husband Paul Rust.
We are so sorry for your loss. Shelley was a beloved member of our club, and she'll be deeply missed. Barbara.
Barbara Marshman, my husband Will, is here with me.
Thank you. Any more? I see the first gentleman has joined us, Evan Mandel, my husband. Thank you. All right, Big Boss.
I'm very pleased to introduce the CEO of Warehouse, Dr. Gloria Duffy.
Who's also the CEO of the California Commonwealth Club, so dual roles there. Okay, without further introductions, I'd like to invite Yvonne up to deliver the eulogy for Shelley. Yvonne?
There are three qualities that adorn Shelley McNamara: her brilliant mind, her generous soul, and her courageous heart. To us, her fellow Rotarians, who had the fortune and privilege to know her, it was her energy, her smile, her friendliness that will live in our hearts forever. Shelley was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, where she completed high school in only 3 years, and then went on to win a scholarship to Barnard College, which made her a very proud Barnard alumna for the rest of her life. Shelley was an eager and enthusiastic participant in our club's committees. She served on RotaCare, RotaPlus, the program committee, the hospitality committee. She worked diligently on the concept for the play garden, and she actively raised funds to help make it a reality. All these activities provided us opportunities to know her, to enjoy her company at meetings and events of the club, a place she loved and to which she gave abundantly of her time, her talents, and her treasure. The club named her Paul Harris Fellow, Ruby and Diamond categories. Given her prominence and impact in the community, Shelley was one of the very first women admitted to Rotary, along with a handful of other impressive women like her. The year was 1988, very soon after the Supreme Court mandate. As a professional, she held influential positions, such as executive director of the Low Foundation, an organization that advocates and defends the rights of underrepresented individuals and families. Shelley especially valued the work of the Low Foundation did on behalf of abused and neglected children. She was executive director of the Diabetes Society of Santa Clara Valley. One of the highlights was the annual Bike-a-thon fundraiser, where thousands of riders rode through the streets of Silicon Valley. Her outstanding efforts in these and other areas earned her multiple nominations to Santa Clara County's Women of Achievement Award. After her retirement, she stayed active in the community, using her expertise at the Diabetes Society to help similar assistance programs in Sonoma County and in Israel. Shelley was predeceased by her former spouse, Joseph McNamara, And she's survived by their 3 children, a son, Donald McNamara, daughter, Lauren Watson, and daughter, Karen McNamara Rust, who honors us today with her presence, accompanied by her husband, Paul Rust. Shelley adored her grandchildren, Matthew, Dexter, Gabriella, and Ethan. Throughout the course of her life, Shelley demonstrated strength of will, strength of character, and a firm determination, no doubt infused by her ancestors' endurance to withstand adverse circumstances. All 4 of her grandparents were persecuted Jews who fled Russia and Eastern Europe. They would have been proud of Shelley. She was worthy a representative of her heritage and their fortitude. Shelley is a role model on many fronts. The way she chose to exit this world is an example of extraordinary serenity, clarity of mind, equanimity, and courage, up to the very end. We will miss her, our dear friend.
Can we have a little IT help with the song, please?
And here's on my trusty friend, and here's on to mine. We'll meet again some other day, far old lang syne. Far old lang syne, my dear, far old lang syne. We'll talk a couple kindness yet, far old lang syne.
Karen and Paul, sorry. Thank you so much for joining us today. And of course, Yvonne mentioned your mom's work with the Rotary Play Garden, and I wanted to share with you that that work so inspired our County Board of Supervisors that they dedicated $20 million for fully accessible parks throughout the town, and that was a return on investment of our $6 million original contribution. So her impact will be felt deeply within this club and throughout the community for years to come. And Yvonne, thank you, and we're so glad you're back with us. I know that you have not been in person until recently, and it's just great to have you. So thank you. So now we're going to make the difficult transition to a happier moment, which is the introduction of a new member. Rod Diridon has done it again, and I'd like to invite Lorenzo Rios up to be formally introduced. The Rod Squad, you'll hear more about that in the next month.
Thank you, Your Royal Highness. That's what we called her around the Manetti Institute, by the way. She insisted upon it.
Dr. Royal Highness.
Oops, Dr. Royal Highness. I get Doc there. Lorenzo Rios is a second-generation engineer in our valley. Grew up in San Jose, went through San Jose State University, go Spartans, and went on to get his degree and his license. And after an apprenticeship period, working primarily with his dad and others, he now has his own firm, the Advanced Design Consulting, a well-established firm doing high-tech advanced design work in our valley. He's highly sought after, very thoughtful, caring young man, dad of an 8-month-old daughter, and determined to carry on Rotary's background and service that his dad established when he was the president of the Santa Clara Club. So greet with me, please, Lorenzo Rios, the newest Rotarian.
Thank you, everybody, for the warm welcome. I've attended a lot of Rotary meetings with my dad throughout the years, ever since I was a teenager, so it's nice to be among Rotarians once again. Attending mostly with the Santa Clara Club, having our business here in San Jose. I told my dad I'd like to maybe join a different club than him so I can kind of be out of his shadow. So he's suggested that I speak with Rod and join the San Jose Club. So I'm very proud to be a Rotarian. I'm very happy to be here with everybody. So I look forward to many more years of service with you guys. Thank you very much.
And did you say an 8-month-old baby?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
8 months?
And I have an 8-month-old little baby. Her name is Juliette Ariel, and she's super cute. And gosh, she's been really easy. I don't have like the whole, like I'm sleeping, so so sleeping's pretty good. So. But yeah.
Bring her sometime.
I'll bring her sometime. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yes. I'm still getting used to the pictures, guys. Sorry. I want him to bring that baby. Much to my husband's embarrassment, I will sometimes ask strangers if they need me to hold their baby for a minute so they can relax. I need some baby love. Please bring her. All right, Mike Fulton, come on up and give us a committee update, please, for the I-House. And just use the right arrow to move the sides.
Hit the right arrow key. All right. Hey, everybody. Mike Fulton, chair of the I-House committee. I'm here today to better acquaint you with one of our Rotary committees, the I-House committee, and to share our mission and our member-led student activities. Many of you have probably driven by the very stately I-House on 11th Street, a gift to the university many years ago by the Simpkins family. Today it serves as student housing through the university's International Outreach Program. As university housing, it houses and feeds over 70 students, often from 25-plus foreign countries. Well, some are here for a semester or a year, or even to get their full degree. A few stay and get a job here, but the majority return home. And we hope we as a committee have contributed in a meaningful way to really a great experience while in the United States and an appreciation for our Rotary and Rotaries in their own country. So what do? Here's an example of some of the past activities we've provided to students. You see students at our lunches here at Rotary. They're here to enjoy the meeting, but mostly actually to meet you. So please come up and say hello if you see a foreign student here. We conduct evening group mentoring sessions thanks to volunteers from our Rotary who share their stories. It's like speed dating. Groups of students meet with a Rotarian for 15 minutes. We ring the bell and they go to another Rotarian. Our first ever leadership games, thanks to Mark and Sue Smith, were conducted over a full half-day weekend day. We have members that conduct workshops, do tours, hikes, Rotary event volunteering. We do a big beach barbecue in Capitola. We run an annual foosball tournament with trophies for the 2 co-ed winners, and they proudly go home to their country to show their family their foosball trophy. Obviously, we would love to have new ideas from you, so if anyone wants to get involved, we'd really appreciate it. So please join us if you can. But if you can't, there's 2 things you might consider. First, one big event at the I-House is their International Pancake Breakfast on October 1st. The students do all the cooking and they entertain. And you're amazed at how good some of the entertainers are. So we hope we might see you there. Also, any spare sporting or cultural event tickets, The students like to gobble them up and they can really go. So put them in the hands of a iHouse committee member and we really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Just another exciting opportunity to become involved for our Red Badge members. Again, there's 44 committees, so there's something for everybody. And now let's invite past President Sal Pizarro up to tell us what's happening around town. Take it away.
Thank you, Karen. I got 3 minutes. I'm going to use them well. I just love talking about what's happening in San Jose, which, by the way, is second best place in America to raise a family behind Huntsville, Alabama. Isn't that great? And I think we're like number 11 for best place to have a baby moon. Who knew? Who knew? Okay. But there's a lot going on downtown. Most of these are happening this week because I know some of you have very short memories. But there's also some stuff happening later in a few weeks from now. First off, a little self-promotion. Tonight I'm going to be emceeing a fundraiser for Maui. Of course, there's such a tragic situation there. They're still looking for 1,000 people. It is terrible, but Dr. Funk Rum House in San Pedro Square is having a fundraiser tonight. 100% of food and drink proceeds are going to the Maui Strong Foundation. So if you want to come by and have a drink, I'll be there handling microphone duties and announcing the raffle winners around 9:30 p.m. tonight. But that's not all. Tomorrow is the 4th downtown block party from the Urban Vibrancy Institute. That's taking place in Little Italy, as you may have read someplace. I'm not going to say where. Poorhouse Bistro just recently reopened there, so it's a good chance to check that out. And they'll also have the Italian Museum and Cultural Center open for some tours. And of course, there's other restaurants around there like Henry's High Life and I'm forgetting the name of the pizza place, but there's a darn good pizza place too. And Paisanos as well. And then, of course, this is SV Pride Week. There was a flag raising at City Hall just yesterday that Councilmember Foley was at and basically led, and Councilmember Cohn was there. And I was there too, but there's a lot of other events going on. There's a kickoff party on Friday at Glass House, Friday night. And then, of course, Saturday and Sunday, Saturday night and Sunday all day is the festival at Plaza de Cesar Chavez. And Sunday morning is the SV Pride Parade, which goes down the normal parade route that we're used to in downtown. And council members are competing to see how many people will walk with them. So pick your favorite, and Pam is really pushing it. She's got bracelets and things for her people. So, and of course, speaking of kind of parade-ish things, we've got the next Viva Calle of the year is coming up on September 10th. That's a Sunday. It's a great route that connects Japantown, Kelly Park, and Tamian Park. Goes right through downtown, so you can get out your bike, stroll, rollerblade, whatever you'd like. I don't think they allow horses, but I think I saw someone on a horse once. So anything could happen. And if you're looking for something to do in September, next month when I come up here, I'll be talking about a lot of our seasons opening for our different performing arts groups. But one I did want to let you know about a little bit early is Symphony San Jose has a season opening dinner, the Cinderella Ball, taking place at the Capitol Club on September 30th. I feel like tickets for this might go fast. You might want to get them soon. And after that, you get to go to the season opening concert, which is Myths, Fairy Tales, and Legends, and of course includes a bit of the Cinderella, I think it's a ballet, maybe. But it's a great way to open the season. They've got a wonderful season planned. Our member, Robert Massey, has done a fantastic job taking over Andrew Bales. We'll have more on performing arts next month, but for now, that's what's going on around town.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Always something exciting. And now, yes, Dave. Oh, yeah. Oh. Ooh. And the president. All right. Thank you for that, Dave. Rod Deardon, why don't you give us the Climate Ambassador update, please?
Thanks, Karen. Before I make my comment, which is going to be important, I'd like to tell you how proud I am that Ken Yeager is here today. Ken is a stupendous talent for our valley, who served as a city council member, board of supervisors, and is now taking that knowledge back to the university as a professor. And he's got a new book out. Make sure you buy that book. It's a great tutorial if you've ever thought about being involved with politics, either as a candidate or as an influencer. Ken, thank you for being with us. And remember to join Megan Fluke's San Jose Rotary Green Team. She has the flyers out on the table, and she's doing a great job as the director of the Green Foothills organization, although she's getting ready to retire. How can she retire? She's just a kid. And that leads me into my comment. At the age of 84, and after going through a year of 3 COVID experiences and a shingles bout, I've gotten the message that it's time to step back from trying to be the spear point, and instead helping those who are going to be leading in social change in the future. And so I'm very happy to step into mentor responsibilities and help those who would like to become politicians or help other politicians become effective and maybe carry an honest and true spear. So as a first element of that, Karen has invited the Climate Action Council or Committee and the council too. The boss is saying it's time now, although David.
He stole some of your time, but we're going to let that go.
All right, I'll go quickly. At any rate, let me close by saying our Climate Action Committee in this organization started 10 years ago, has now proliferated all over the western United States through the ISRAG, Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group of Rotary International, under the leadership of Yavuz Attila and our own Deanna Persai as the regional director, to be a force for fighting climate change throughout the western United States and the world. Be involved. It's the future of our children. Climate change threatens the world according to the best source of information in the world, and that's the Secretary General of the United Nations. And I'm out of here.
Just promise me you won't stop spearheading the Rod Squad and bringing in new members. Please. Okay, time for a few president's announcement. Just a reminder that you can sign up for the barbecue, which will be on Wednesday, September 13th in the lobby. There's also flyers with a QR code. We will not have a meeting during the lunchtime on that day. Instead, we'll be joining for fun, friendship, and fellowship at History Park. So please sign up. It's been an incredibly busy Rotary Week. I'm going to update you on 4 different activities and a reminder for our new members and a refresher for our existing members. The committee work is what drives us forward in a substantial way and in a meaningful way. There's always an opportunity to be involved, and I'm going to highlight 4 of those for you now. The Pause Committee. If you're a committee member, please wave so we can see you there. We've got a big group there. They actually gathered and they filled 14 backpacks for dogs and for cats. Each backpack held several new items, including food, a dog bowl, a leash, a collar, flea medicine, and multiple other items. In fact, they even broke down 300 pounds of food and created little baggies for individual distribution. So thrilled was Home First that they sent this thank you note. Thank you for the beautiful pet kits. Our participants are sometimes more concerned about their pet's comfort than their own, and they are always so grateful for these items. So a big thank you to the Pause Committee. You're making a meaningful difference. We also held the much-anticipated Rotary Caravan for the farm workers, which was led by Richard Alejandro and past President Fernando Zazueta. It was enormously successful and so emotionally moving. We had about 25 cars in our caravan following a fully packed truck that had food, clothes, stuffed animals, dry goods, and other supplies that people needed because, of course, they lost everything. In fact, we had 30 additional volunteers join us at the site, and when we unloaded everything, it looked insurmountable. I'm talking about an enormous pile, and I thought, what are we going to do with this? Well, we all collectively went to work, and we created stations around the park. So we had a station for children's clothes, adult clothes, diapers, dry goods, canned goods, etc., and we invited those flood victims who needed resources to join us at the park at 3 p.m. that day so that they could shop for what they needed, because of course we can't anticipate what that might be. Here you can see that following that extraordinary experience, we gathered at Jalisco's for a Mexican buffet, about 40 of us, and live entertainment as people serenaded us. But I'd like to call your attention to the inset picture of Fernando and Richard, who were working very hard on Friday along with our Interact members. Thank you, Dave Peterson, for leading that group. And it was an enormous success. And just to move your heart a little bit, this little girl with the backpack was so thrilled with her new backpack, she wouldn't take it off. And there was also a little boy who selected a big white teddy bear, and he carried that thing around and hugged it and loved it. And I'm covered in goosebumps again because it was truly a remarkable experience, a great success. Thank you to all your generosity. It was wonderful. Our unhoused committee, though we did not get the photo in, they also gathered on Saturday and created hygiene kits for those in need, another tremendous success. And then on Sunday, we rounded out the Rotary Week. I know Evan and Charlie were just thrilled to spend every day and night of the weekend in Rotary. And we did an enormously fun scavenger hunt that was hosted by the Fun and Friendship Committee, which is led by Doug Smith, Whiskey Doug. And Pat Riley put together this really cool scavenger hunt document where we did a 2-mile walk around downtown. We split into teams. I'm sad to say I didn't win, and I'm fiercely competitive, so that hurt. But it was just so much fun. And Pat, we hope your wife is recovering from COVID and that you continue to be healthy and well and with us. So a terrific Rotary weekend. And now I have 2 Rotary family updates. Stu Gans, who's joining us for the first time since June in person. Stu, where are you? There you are. He went and visited with past President Stu Park, who you know from last week's announcement, is recovering after a serious fall. He played for Stu last week's announcement where we all just gave so much love and thought about him, and also the audio presentation he made during Stu's presidential year when he announced the birth of his first granddaughter, Mabel. It was a heartfelt visit, and it definitely lifted the spirits of both Stus, if I may be so bold. Awesome. That was just great. And then Dave Sandretto, you might have seen in the Monday Bulletin, he has had surgery and he is in recovery. He is not accepting visitors, but he would love some cards. I actually purchased a card and started it, and it's at the table where you get your badges. Or wait, it's back here now? Okay, see Emily and Anna back there? They've got the cards, so if you'd like to sign it, please do so. If you'd like to send your own, that address is in the Monday Bulletin. With that, it's time for one last highlight. I like to do the Rotary family updates, the event updates, but we want to turn around, face the camera, and give a big wave to Stu and to Dave so we can send them that video. Okay, where do we wave? Here? Okay. We love you. Get well. Okay, that worked. Perfect. And then a really fun red badge update. Our newest member, Steve Preminger, has agreed to become the 3rd co-chair of the Red Badge Committee, joining Matt Breaker and past President Karen Sinanu Towery. He's really showing that Rotary spirit by getting involved so early, and we are just thrilled. Steve, I can't see you, but really excited about this leadership position that you've taken on. Now with that, it's my pleasure to welcome Sarah Janigan, who I'd also like to publicly thank, because she recommended to me at our last board meeting that I announce and show pictures of what the committees are doing to build that enthusiasm, because of course that's where we get the camaraderie and the sense of belongingness that keeps us coming back. So Sarah, thank you for that, and take it away.
Well, I am very happy, along with Rod Dearden, to be introducing our speaker today. Ken and I go way back. We met as students at San Jose State University, go Spartans, living in the same dorm, Joe West Hall, which is still surviving and not torn down yet. We later started our professional careers, and for Ken, his political career, as colleagues in County Supervisor Suzanne Wilson's office, where Rod was representing District 4 and was right down the hall from us. We shared an office cubicle on the 10th floor, and I got to see firsthand the beginnings of Ken's political future. Ken was always smart and organized, and after graduating from San Jose State, he went on to earn a master's and a PhD in education from Stanford. He was the county's first openly gay elected official when he won a seat on the San Jose Evergreen Community College Board in 1992. He went on to represent District 6 on the San Jose City Council and then served for 12 years on the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors representing District 4, the seat that Rod Dearden once held and that Susan Ellenberg now holds. Since leaving the Board of Supervisors, Ken has been a lecturer at San Jose State in American politics, and while many of us were trying out new sourdough recipes or working on jigsaw puzzles during the lockdown, Ken was organizing a website documenting the 50-year history of the LGBTQ struggle for civil rights in Silicon Valley, producing a documentary, and planning a year-long exhibit at History San Jose. And he's just put out his latest book, Run, My Story of the LGBTQ plus Political Power, Equity, and Acceptance in Silicon Valley, which he will have afterwards in the back of the room. Please join me in welcoming my friend and former county supervisor, the Honorable Ken Yeager.
Well, good afternoon. It's great to be here. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for that kind introduction, Sarah. I promise not to reveal any of the going-ons that went on in that dorm room for those several years. But also thank you, Rotary, for all the great work you do in the community. It is much appreciated, and I know you all put a lot of time and energy into your activities. As people may know, the timing of my talk revolves around the fact that San Jose celebrates its annual Pride Parade and Festival the last weekend in August, this Saturday and Sunday. Many may wonder why this particular weekend, given that Pride is celebrated the last weekend of June with big parades in San Francisco and New York to commemorate the anniversary of the Stonewall riots in New York City in 1969. Historically, San Jose had its Pride celebration the same weekend, but organizers constantly struggled to raise funds because so many of the companies that supported Pride were satisfied with just being sponsors of San Francisco Pride. So as a way to increase revenue and attendance, San Jose Pride chose to move our Pride celebration to this weekend. San Jose, Silicon Valley has a unique LGBTQ story to tell, separate from San Francisco's. Our history illustrates how queer people in a large suburban city, not an urban one, went about bringing dramatic social change. The lessons learned and the strategies we used may serve as a guide for activists elsewhere when organizing to counter the current uptick of anti-gay and anti-trans hostilities in their communities. I'm sure you've been reading about the current assault on LGBTQ and trans people throughout the country, with laws being passed with no regard for the medical or mental health effects on a vulnerable population, particularly pre-teens. I have to say, what's going on now takes me back in time. If you were living here in 1980, some of this will sound familiar. Back in the mid-1970s, non-discrimination protections for LGBTQ people at the state or national level were impossible to win. So, attention turned to cities. By far the most well-known city was Miami in 1977. This led to an unexpected backlash as the issue morphed from being centered on civil rights to whether the ordinance, the non-discrimination ordinance, would legitimize a lifestyle perceived as perverse and dangerous. The campaign would give rise to people like Anita Bryant and Jerry Falwell with their Save the Children campaign, Save the Children from the Gays. Signatures were gathered to place a referendum on the ballot, and unfortunately, Miami voted 2-1 to repeal the non-discrimination law. Religious conservatives found a gold mine, similar to what is happening today. They went to all of the cities across the country that had such non-discrimination ordinances, being able to overturn all of them except for one. This nationwide movement arrived in San Jose and Santa Clara County in 1979, when, after 6 hearings and 25 hours of testimony, mainly from fundamentalist Christians who opposed it, the Board of Supervisors voted 4-1 to pass a gay non-discrimination ordinance. With less fanfare, the San Jose City Council took a similar vote. Opponents quickly gathered twice the signatures they needed to put the 2 referendums on the 1980 June ballot, measures A and B. The opponents of the ordinances emphasized the stereotype of gay men as sexual deviants and child molesters who could not have children of their own, so they had to recruit. It was a terrible time. The campaign against the measures became a rallying cry for the fundamentalists. One of the supervisors who voted on the measure was Rod Diradan. In a 2018 interview, he recalled leaving his church with his wife and children and finding that every car in the parking lot had a flyer on the windshield condemning his vote and saying that Diradan was a false person and that actually Diradan was gay. He subsequently learned that the flyer was distributed to every car in all the church parking lots in his district. Supporters of the ordinance never had a chance. It was a bloodbath. By a margin of 3-1, 70% to 30%, both measures went down in flames. You can imagine what that message sent to politicians when 70% of the people are on one side of the issue. I tell this story to let you know that contrary to popular belief, Santa Clara County has not always been a bastion of progressive politics, particularly for the LGBTQ residents. Let me give you a couple examples of how bad things get politically when you lose 70 to 30. In 1984, Wigsy Severson and I co-founded the LGBTQ group called the Bay Area Municipal Elections Committee, or BAYMEC. When we started our endorsement process, we worried few candidates would want to be associated with us. One Republican assemblyman and later congressman for one term responded that he meant no disrespect when he told us frankly, "I will not be seeking the endorsement of your group." One Democratic assembly member we endorsed and made a contribution to sent the check back, writing that he was not in a position to accept our contribution at this time. The defeats of measures A and B even affected strong civil rights allies like then Congress members Norm Mineta and Leon Panetta. Mineta had been a prior co-sponsor of the National Gay and Lesbian Civil Rights Act, but withdrew his support after the overwhelming defeat of the 2 measures. It was no small matter that his district included the Almaden Valley, which many people referred to as the Bible Belt of Santa Clara County. Also, Congressman Leon Panetta would not become a co-signer of the national bill for many years afterwards. BAYMEC worked with both of them until they did finally become co-signers. One more example, in 1986, when BAYMEC had its first dinner to celebrate the defeat of a statewide AIDS quarantine initiative, only one elected official from San Jose attended, San Jose Councilwoman Iola Williams. This anti-gay environment had a personal effect on me. So prevalent were all the anti-gay attitudes in 1984 that a San Jose Assemblyman with the rhyming name of Alistair McAllister was very comfortable writing an op-ed in the Mercury News pleading that Governor George Deukmejian to veto a law that had been passed by the legislature to make it illegal to discriminate based on sexual orientation. He said for the governor to sign the bill would give the, quote, wrongful practice, unquote, of homosexuality legal, social, and political legitimacy. The statement stunned me when I read it on a Friday morning in March. I was angry that an elected official thought I had forfeited all of my civil rights simply because I was gay. Putting the paper down, I said to myself, Ken, if you don't fight for your rights to be a part of this community, then no one else will. I realized that if I was to have equality in San Jose, I would have to fight for it. I decided to challenge the Assemblyman by using his weapon of choice, an op-ed in the Mercury News. And I see my good friends from the Mercury News here. There was just one minor hiccup. I wasn't completely out. My byline in the Mercury News meant that I would come out to the newspaper's entire Bay Area readership. I knew that the publicity might cause me problems. I wondered if my political friends would distance themselves from me because I was too out, or if I would ever be hired to manage another political campaign. I worked for Congressman Don Edwards at the time and worried he may not be particularly thrilled to have an openly gay staffer, but he didn't hesitate in telling me to go ahead and submit it, which I did. Throughout the 1980s and the 90s, BAMEC met with elected officials for one-on-one discussions and to answer questions they had about our issues. This was still a time when people did not know many gay people and often had preconceived notions that were false. These meetings proved enormously effective, particularly with Republican representatives. We used to have those. I would advise people advocating for trans rights in hostile states to take similar action, particularly with more persuadable politicians. Organizing the LGBTQ community was key. As BAMEC's membership grew, so did our political clout, with the BAMEC dinner growing larger in attendance each year. By the 1990s, it was the political dinner to go to, with over 500 people attending, including 100 elected officials and candidates. What a remarkable turnaround. But progress was being made in other areas as well. Since non-discrimination ordinances still could not be passed at the local, state, or national level, attention turned to corporate America. For a number of reasons, many gays and lesbians were attracted to careers in high-tech companies that were located in the Bay Area. Employees of these companies started gay employee groups, either recognized or not by management. One network that formed was called High Tech Gays. Their members began to demand certain rights, such as domestic partner benefits and non-discrimination policies. Each time a new company granted these, other companies followed in order to retain and attract employees. Societal norms were changing as well. Historically, LGBTQ people were looked upon with great disapproval, certainly by the church, the law, and society at large. It was so mandatory to be closeted that many people did not think they knew any LGBTQ people. That began to change as the AIDS epidemic took hold in the 80s and the 90s, and people learned for the first time that they had a gay son, a gay brother, a gay uncle who was dying. Also, more LGBTQ people were heeding Supervisor Harvey Milk's call to come out of the closet. When they did, their partners were introduced to their families, and as same-sex relationships began to become accepted, support for marriage equality grew. And things changed for me too, which I discuss in my book, and Sarah touched a little bit on this, but up until 1992, no LGBTQ person had ever been elected to any office in Santa Clara County at any level. In fact, only a handful had been elected in the entire country. This changed locally when I won a seat on the San Jose Evergreen Community College Board, followed with the win on the San Jose City Council, and followed then by the Board of Supervisors in 2006 until I was termed out at the end of 2018. One hurdle that any minority candidate has to overcome is the belief that they will only focus on issues related to their constituency and not the whole community. This is especially true when they are the first, and voters don't have anything to compare them to. Part of the negative campaigns that were always used against me was that I was better suited to run in San Francisco because I would only focus on gay issues, because that must be what gay politicians do, which of course is total nonsense. Try slowing down traffic in neighborhoods, expanding the trail network, or getting toys out of kids' Happy Meals. Now those are what take up so much time. Having said that, I am tremendously proud of my accomplishments for the LGBTQ community. I was the first to raise the rainbow flag at San Jose City Hall, and I know that Council Members Cohen and Foley I was able to join you yesterday when we were doing that again. And also the first at the Government Center at Santa Clara County in 2007. First to have the San Jose City Council approve a Pride Proclamation in 2001 and created the nation's first county office of LGBTQ affairs. But just when you think things are getting better, they get worse again. Where to begin? Well, we can start with comments by Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, writing in the Dobbs case that the court should reconsider protecting same-sex relationships and marriage equality. And you know that Samuel Alito is right behind him, along with other Supreme Court justices. I think we might be able, unfortunately, have to say goodbye to federal rights to getting married in all states. To ward off any potential effect in California, there will be a measure on next year's ballot to repeal language in the state constitution that only recognizes marriage between a man and a woman. That provision was overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court in 2013, but if the court reverses itself, the old language may still apply. Then there are the two Supreme Court decisions that all but void LGBTQ non-discrimination policies when religious freedoms are voiced. Those 6-3 decisions suggest that the rights of LGBTQ people are on a vulnerable legal footing, particularly when they are at odds with claims of religious freedom. The queer community is braced for the slow but steady removal of protections across the country when legal challenges are filed. 2023 has been the worst year on record for anti-LGBTQ laws. According to the Human Rights Commission, there have been over 700 such bills introduced in 41 states, with over 75 signed into law. In Florida, the state that became known for its Don't Say Gay law, Governor DeSantis recently signed a new bill that prohibits any instruction about sexual orientation or gender identity all the way through 12th grade, and other states are following. Of course, this is at a time when suicide rates and mental health issues are increasing for queer youth, and I just wonder what message these states are giving them. As Charles Blow wrote in the New York Times, politicians like DeSantis and many others have Willie Hortonized transgender equality, the gender equality movement, and by extension, the whole movement of LGBTQ equality. The movement for marriage equality was successful because people got to know LGBTQ plus people, destroying long-held negative stereotypes. But a 2021 survey found that only 1 in 5 Americans knew someone who was trans, although that number seems high to me. In the last couple of years, I have learned much more about my trans brothers and sisters than ever before. Perhaps the same is true for many of you. Where once we thought we didn't know any trans people, all of a sudden we realize that they are all around us. Unfortunately, where there is ignorance about trans people, hysteria and cruelty often take hold just for political gain. I should mention that our county government embraces our trans youth and adults. In addition to operating a medical care gender clinic, it will soon open a mental health gender clinic as well. As to other battlefronts, don't get me started. We can talk about the craziness outlawing drag queen shows, really. For decades, drag shows of one sort or another have been happening in bars across the country, and somehow society did not come to a screaming halt. So why the threat now? Is this really the biggest issue facing red states, more than healthcare, the environment, mental health, and drug overdoses? I should say I'm proud that Books Inc. in Campbell is not intimidated by any potential protests and is holding another drag queen story hour in their store on August 31st. And the fact that my book is being sold there. Anyway, one parting comment. One-on-one relationships are important. So whenever you have the opportunity to give a hug of support to an LGBTQ friend or family member, especially if trans, non-binary, or gender fluid, please do so. Remember, they assume that you will be judgmental and disapproving. Telling them otherwise will mean the world to them and open up a dialogue that will be valued by you both. Thank you and happy Pride.
That's an awesome response.
Oh, that's great.
I'm not ready for questions.
That was an incredible presentation. At times, I was horrified, but I was left hopeful. So thank you for your words. That was really moving. Questions? Yes, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much, Ken, for that moving talk to us. I just want to say for the record, you were an incredible council member for District 6. You spent a lot of time on getting us traffic calming, permit parking, because we had to have a number of things you did for us, and we thank you, and you were at every event we had. But I do want to say, something that stands out to me, and it's this is a comment, I hope you'll be okay with that. In June of 2001, my youngest brother, Christopher Flowers, was suffering from AIDS, and he had been hospitalized in the months before that. I think you invited us to come to City Hall for the raising of the rainbow flag for the first time ever. And my brother sat next to me, very ill, very weak, and said, I thought I'd never live to see this. He lived 6 more years. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
We have time for 2 more questions. Deanna.
Thank you so much for that very inspiring speech. I've been raised in more conservative areas in the United States, and when I was in college, the kindest men took me in when I was interning at the Department of Education. And I've grown up with persons who could be considered conservative who are also gay. And during these times, I worry about them because I know that there is a really large voice and cohort of the most amazing, compassionate, conservative individuals who also happen to be LGBTQ. How do we support them and bring our nation to a more kind and compassionate dialogue?
That's a big one.
Yeah, and I think it's just a matter of people sort of stepping a little bit out of their comfort zone, as some of your conservative friends must have to deal with their immediate environment around them. I think you sort of handle it as you do with any sort of personal issue that's important to you. You start out by finding those that are going to be the most receptive and sort of having one-on-one conversations so that you're trying to change the outlook of the entire group that you interact with. But I think it's even now particularly important that conservative LGBTQ people speak out, because so much of the conservative movement is about sort of, being very negative towards gay people. And I think that just has to be addressed one-on-one.
James.
Ken, I'd like to ask you about your comments about the referendum to repeal Prop 8, I assume, when you're talking about the Constitution, to remove the part of the state constitution that says same-sex marriages are illegal. I think there's a lot of concern among people I talk to that this is going to bring this hot issue. I mean, we all hope that that will pass, of course, but I think there's going to be some unpleasant politics next year. What do you think the community and the people who are supporting this referendum should be doing to make this a success next year?
Yeah, first off, I haven't seen any polls to know the favorability of gay marriage now. I mean, through forever, there was never 50%, and then you sort of finally got to around 50, 52%. So you sort of hope as people know so many people who've gotten married. I mean, I've married over 100 people. It's just been wonderful. For some reason, county supervisors get to marry people. I don't know how that got put into the law. But I just got to believe that they wouldn't want to sort of deprive people of that right, or the people who still wanted to get married. But like with anything, it's just talking to people. Yeah, so this goes back to, as you had said, the language that was there because of Prop 8. That's what stopped the gay marriages for the 6-month window that they were allowed, and that then were overturned by the Supreme Court. So that language is still in the Constitution, and the fear is, again, if the Supreme Court just takes it away altogether, what happens to that language? But I know that they're going around collecting signatures now, and that this will be on November of 24.
Hi, Ken. I have one thing to...
One last quick question. Go ahead, Maggie.
It's
I'm
not a
sorry,
question, but I'm proud that Rotary has an LGBTQT club, and it's the Rotary Rainbow Club, Cheryl Lander, and they would love to have you as a speaker sometime, I'm sure.
Thank you.
All right? Thank you.
I apologize, Fernando, that we didn't get to your questions, but he's willing to stay a few minutes afterwards if anybody would like to speak further on this topic. Outstanding presentation. Thank you so much for your leadership. In honor of your program today, we've made a donation to Loaves and Fishes, because when you're hungry, nothing else matters. Next week, we'll be featuring Patricia Pape, talking about building California's energy future. And now, in my final thoughts for the day, I know I have focused a lot on the importance and the power of mental health, but as Kathleen Thomas pointed out to me recently, it's very important to also focus on our physical health, which is a key contributor to injury prevention, longevity, and it helps stave off the deleterious effects of dementia. So don't forget to take care of your body too. And of course, we need time to relax, reflect, and be present in the moment. So however you do that is important, but I'd like to end with one of my other favorite quotes, which is, time you enjoy wasting is not wasted time. So if you want to eat chocolates and watch bad TV and that helps you feel better, go for it. It's not wasted time. Love you guys. See you next week.